welcome. You guys are part of the conversation we have here at Tamra Day. Super privileged to have her with us. Share one word that you want to, I guess, identify yourself with for the audience to kind of, obviously we can expand a little bit more into this later, but like what's one word that you feel like you resonate with highly?
Ooh.
Tough one, right?
Do you just throw out the one right from the get? I'm gonna sound so corny, but God.
That's epic. That makes me really happy. That makes me really happy. No,
because that got me here, and that's why I'm here, and honestly, it wouldn't be without that. Back in the day, aka like a year ago, I would have said something like ambitious, driven, talented. It's not about that for me anymore,
that speaks so much, because I think a lot of people get caught up in those things that they think.
I was one of them, yeah.
So I think, well, not anymore, but at times as well, I would think that that's where I needed to be, and not and forget that I am where I am because of my faith or my relationship. Interesting. Didn't know that's where this is going to start, but
Started off with a bang. That's how I say it. But I think that goes to show both of us identifying as ambitious and driven. And you have to be with an entrepreneurial spirit, but I identified as that for so long, and I held to that as being the thing I needed to carry with me, so that someone saw me and they knew that's what I was about. Oh, Tamra, she's hardworking. Oh, she's, because, God forbid they thought of me anything other than all those things. It was an ego trip that I needed to make sure no one thought I was weak or incapable or not strong enough, whatever. But I think when you get to a place where you've been knocked down so many times and realize that each time you got back into it wasn't because of those things, it was because for me it was finding my faith through the surgery that I went through last year. And that's literally why I'm here and why I continue to do this and to talk about it now.
This is actually interesting, because this brings me to a point where it's at what point did you release yourself, where you're all right, it's not on me anymore?
I'm still in that process. I'd be lying if I said I'm totally at this surrender and just let go and let God place. I continue to strive to be at that place, especially being a control freak, and really because my identity was wrapped around do and go, just to be forced to take a step back and to assess my life and where I was going and what I wanted from it and how I wanted to show up in the world. I wasn't being the things that I was trying to achieve. So in stopping, and God literally brought me to my knees in that place when I got surgery and was like, wipe it all clean. What's the worst that can happen if you just start over from here? And I was worried, because I had built up a considerable platform where people knew me as one thing, and it's scary, it's terrifying to say I'm just gonna step into this world as a newborn little butterfly, and it feels fragile, and you feel raw, and you're scared of how the feedback. But God had been working on me for so long to get me to a place where I could build up enough fortitude that whatever came to me after that, I'd be okay with. And I'm still walking that out. It's only been a year and a few months since surgery, and but I look at that as the pivotal moment of where I could be none of it matters anymore. And I'm still gonna pursue the things that I'm gonna pursue, because I put that on my heart to do, and all the entrepreneurial spirit in me doesn't just leave, but it's the way in which you walk that changes when you have that foundation that you build in something higher, that had I not gotten to that place, I wouldn't be able to do these things that I'm doing and continue to pursue more actually because of
and it's
it.
funny because a lot of like entrepreneur type individuals, they have this resilience and dedication and they think that they can control everything. But one of the things that like even I'm experiencing in my life is like the more you surrender, and it's crazy because it is crazy. It's very risk oriented to just be like, whatever
Which is
happens.
the antithesis of being an entrepreneur, right? Like there's so much, there's like calculated risk, but at the end of the day, nothing can be that calculated,
Exactly.
right?
And so like that's I think like a muscle, like I'm sure you're flexing and trying to build up right now, and I know for sure I am, is like how much can I really just like free fall, you know, into the arms of what we have as in our faith is like just go and whatever happens, we have an understanding that it's happening for the right reasons and not for the wrong reasons. And I mean, we'll touch a little bit more on like your surgery and that time in your life, but one of the things that I think is really interesting to touch on, especially for a lot of like people that are watching and listening, is as you try to pursue any form of greatness, whether that's through fitness, business, relationships, friendships, there is going to be a part of, I think, oneself that you're going to have to let go of control. And like, it's the hardest thing to do. It's the hardest, scariest.
It's literally what I talk to clients about when I'm doing the thing that actually I got called to do in this new venture of my life, was what I talked to you about off camera is getting into brand strategy and creative direction and all these things that I'd been unknowingly doing throughout my career of building my social media platform and getting to harness the creativity of other people and knowing how to pull like the greatness out of them and seeing the vision for things and always doing it for other people and not realizing that I was capable of kind of having that on my own. And I wouldn't have got to that place if I didn't just jump and have that bit. And I didn't have the confidence. Like let's be honest. I think when people say like, just, you know, like you got to be confident in yourself. Like I did it without the confidence and without the knowing how it was going to turn out. And so it gave me that insider tip when I'm working with a client to go, you're not going to feel ready. You're not going to know what the next steps look like. You're not even going to know if the water's deep enough if you jump, but you got to do it so that you can feel it out. And, you know, maybe just paddle swim, but you'll just get there.
You'll figure it out.
Yeah, and we figured out because you said the word resilient. I think at the end of the day, humans are resilient. We don't have to be perfect. We don't have to be confident. We don't have to have it all together, but we are resilient in our nature. And that goes in business, relationships, family dynamics, friendships, like across the board. That word is like pivotal in who we are, because that's how we were created to be.
We adapt, and I think people are so afraid to risk things because they don't think they're going to adapt. I kid you guys not, you will adapt to the craziest circumstances, to the craziest scenarios. And I mean that can jump us into health. Like, I mean, you obviously experienced some health complications where you're like, you know, it's scary. And you have to have faith that it's your body and yourself is going to adapt to better, right? And I mean, you're sitting here today and we just got a workout in, so you're better.
Right, exactly. Physically I am. And coming from the health and wellness sphere and knowing what to put in my body, how to treat it, and then facing the opposite of that and being like, why am I constantly sick? Like I was pneumonia, bronchitis, sinus infection, memory loss, just anything and everything going on with your nervous system and your immune system was shot for me. And I'm sitting there like I've gone to every specialist and all the tests come back negative for anything, and it was a scary position to be in. But being placed there, I know, was a divine thing because I had to give it all up to a faith in a higher being that's saying like I needed to get my breast implants out. And it wasn't but like 3 weeks after getting that message that I found a group on Facebook that it was like 60,000 women that had done the same thing. Now it's over like 150,000. And then, so finding a girl that had gone through it, reaching out to her, like boom, 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 found a doctor after like 9 horrible plastic surgeons that I went through. But in 3 weeks, essentially, after getting the message that they need to come out, I got them out. And it was like complete divine intervention. And now, even though I came from the health and fitness world, I have a newfound respect for well-being and life and kind of living up to this like wellness is not just controlling every single thing that goes in your body that you do, like being anal about making sure you get your workouts in. It's so far beyond that for me now. It's like it's pushing yourself to your limits and knowing that you can go beyond it. It's resting when you need to rest. It's listening to your body. It's listening to what your intuition and God talking to you, like finding that connection, like using the word like holistically with the W at the beginning, mind, body, and spirit. The spirit part I was neglecting because I thought I could control every other aspect. But when you're brought to a place that you don't have another option, and not everyone's gonna get there, you know? I look at it as a blessing that I was brought to that place, but even if you don't have a rock bottom or a place in which you have nowhere else to go, you can still always look to have that connection, because I think that's what's missing in our society is we've turned away from needing that. We think we can control everything because we have technology, because we have access, because we have knowledge. But all those things are making us go astray from what we're here to do. So for me, finding that connection was the thing that made me restart my life and go, what do I really need to be doing here, you know? So.
Makes sense. And I want to actually bring back to like, I mean, we can go a little bit more about like you in your career in social media and how you've grown, but like let's talk about like, and this is something that I don't know if it's even appropriate to ask, but what was in your mind when you decided to get breast implants? And I'm just curious in that, in the sense of like, I don't know, right? And I
you're a man, no offense,
so, like,
but
I want to like understand like what, you know, what thoughts, pressures, expectations.
I had to look into that deeply, right? Because you can have the things you think you were saying to yourself back when you got them. I think speaking to a lot of women, if you guys hear this, I'm gonna cut through the bullshit. It's like, we can say, I just want to feel better about myself all day long, but at the end of the day, it's not about that. It's a much deeper issue. Not saying everyone goes through sexual traumas. I had them in my past. It tears the fabric of your self-confidence, of the way you see yourself in the world, and that shred of a tear leads to a bigger opening when something down the road shows itself. And let's say for me, it was getting into bodybuilding shows, and then all of a sudden you're seeing the people higher up. Well, I already have a competitive nature, so you're seeing all these people winning, they all look the same. So I'm going, well, what do I need edgewise as a competitive person to get to that level? It wasn't necessarily that I thought like, oh, I needed big boobs to look better or to feel better. I was like, I want to get to the top. That's what they're telling me. If you don't have this, you know, aesthetic we're looking for, this proportion, they like to say proportional, then you're not going to make it to the top. So unfortunately, I let that and my insecurities get the best of me and make that decision, unknowingly that they were not healthy for you. Like, people can say all day long, like, of course you had to know they're not good for you. But truthfully, the doctors make it sound so safe, and they're lifetime safe devices, and just you can get them out later and switch them out, and they're going to be good. Look, I can throw them against the wall. I can run them over with a car. They sell you the dream of how safe they are. And only now is the FDA coming out with how bad they actually are for your body. They've been lying to us since like the early 80s. But essentially, I urge women to look deep inside themselves at the things, your why. I say, like, really look at your why you're getting them, and is that not something that you can address and work on? I'm not saying don't change this or change that, because we all have things, like, I could go off the deep end on the other end and be like, don't wear makeup, don't dye your hair. I mean, after surgery, I went off the deep end. I was like, I'm not touching my body with anything. I want nothing fake around me, nothing, because like you feel trapped in your own body when you have that attacking you. So I did go off the other side, and then I brought it back in, and I said, you know what? You can't save everyone from the fleshly world we live in, right? Like, we live in a world where our physicality matters, our aesthetic matters. But what is your reason as to why you're getting them? Because it's crazy, but now I feel more in line with who I am as a woman. I feel sexier, more beautiful, and more just at peace with my body.
You dug deeper.
But it's because I did the work, and I was already doing the work prior to surgery. I just didn't realize that was going to be the catalyst to like breaking open these things of, why do I feel all this pressure to be like this or look like this, or, you know, have the face everyone has, and like everyone starts looking exactly the same, and then what uniqueness do we really have? And but now there's this huge like second wave of girls really getting this done, and I did that documentary because I wanted people to see, like, that you can recover from it, you can be better for it, but I didn't hide the fact that the journey was long after that. It wasn't like I woke up from surgery and was like, I feel great, the birds are chirping, life is beautiful. No, it sucked. Like, getting to know your body again in a body you never accepted prior to to getting them.
That's
so
crazy.
now you're taking them out and you're left with scars and some deformities and this and that, and now you really got to accept it because this is where you're at, but you have your health and you have your life ahead of you, and it's like there's nothing better than that. But that's where the gap between is where I try to be there for women, because I'm like, it's not easy.
And that's one of the things is experience. Like, you have that experience, and I'm sure, you know, a lot of you ladies that are watching could probably reach out to somebody like her that has experience and that can save you pain, time, whatever it is you're.
I don't think I can save you pain. I'm just gonna put it out there. You got to go through it yourself. But that's part of the journey, though. I think we're so. Humans are so programmed, especially in our society, to avoid pain at all costs. Like, I don't want to go through it, so we stop ourselves from doing things because we fear the pain of our heartbreak, our mental, you know, something that's going to break us. I think that's where our fear comes from, is like how bad it's going to hurt. But again, we adapt and we're resilient. So like, where the pain is, like, I think you have to go into it. The only way out is through, right? Like, you go into that pain and you will come out the other side, and it might hurt for 6 months, it might hurt for a year, but what is that in the grand scheme of like your entire life ahead of you, you know? So
that's so true. And I think like you said, it's natural human behavior to avoid pain, but sometimes experimenting with actually going through it would help you tremendously, because now you have that experience and knowledge to just like go back to and be like, oh, that makes sense. You know?
I think it makes women, and men too, if it's not even this particular surgery, anything that scares you. I wish I had gone into it without being like it was the last case, like it was the only
resort type of
resort thing. I wish I wasn't a place where I was on my knees being like, this is it, like, what do I do next? Because I think real courage comes in the moments that you take that step without having it be your last resort. So I think that's where real courage, but it taught me that I can do scary things and I can do hard things without it being pushed up against the wall. And we can as humans, but we have to train ourselves to be okay with that and be, as they say, like, comfortable in the uncomfortable spaces, you know?
And does your relationship and your faith have some relation to stepping? Because I think that's something that if you don't have that, it's a lot harder to step into these positions where you're putting so much risk on the line, that if you have a relationship or faith, that it's a lot easier to do that. And
yeah, it does. I don't want to say it makes everything easier, but like I was alluding to before, the foundation that's there of knowing, like, if I fall, at least I fall on something that I can build back up from. Before that, I had nothing. I thought when you fall, it means death, over, end of things. And I mean, I think that's why fear builds up so strong, is that you have this whole idea in your head, at least for me in the way I was raised, that like one wrong move, one failure is the end of you. And it's like, how do we move past that paralyzing fear sometimes, especially as entrepreneurs, to be able to step into a place that is scary and unknown? It's about that training process. Like, take that step, try it, okay, you fall, do it again. And like, it sounds easier than it is to do, but without faith and without that foundation, it feels like death.
It's like the deep
it's just given me that little extra edge to, because also I know the things that I've been called to do aren't me. I'm a facilitator of them, I'm a catalyst of them, and I'm a bridge to other people finding their paths too, but it's not necessarily me. I'm just like this conduit, if you will.
This is why I do this, is because this is the kind of stuff that I love about humans and people.
Right.
Like, I've gotten, you know, I'm in that place right now where like I'm testing my faith every single day. Like, how far can I like really just jump.
I love
right?
that. I
It's scary,
want to get to that place so bad.
It's adrenaline that I'm almost chasing now.
Yeah.
Which I think that's something that's I'm privileged to have, and and it's almost like I don't even know if this People project is maybe positioned and has the future in that direction of helping people.
I wouldn't be
understand.
surprised if that's why you were guided to doing that, you know?
But yeah, like I think that's something really powerful that has helped me tremendously, and I can tell it helps you. I guess what's something now that continues to fuel you, and that's also in the back of your mind every day, right? Like something that you're either working towards, working on, that you are just like it's here and it's like, you know, what's something right now? Like
for me, it's just my faith. Because it's so new to me, and I don't know if you know, like my background, I was raised by Holocaust survivor grandparents, always heard the stories, always knew what they had been through, what their family had been through. So the struggle was built into me of realizing people have died for their religion, their faith, but then also in being pulled to God in a different context, if you will, later on. I battled that a lot. I battled feeling guilty about where God was pulling me and what my family had died for. And it was a struggle for me in so many ways. But when I finally, I keep going back to the surgery because that was my rock bottom, where I heard so audibly in a meditation, prayer, whatever you want to call it, before I went into surgery, that I just knew that was that was my purpose and that was the plan for me, and I couldn't deny it anymore. And so ever since then, I just keep following that gut feeling and that connection to it. So if I keep following that, then everything else makes sense. So then I don't have to keep pursuing all these other things that I'm so well, what about this? And I want to do this. And as a creative, we can get pulled in so many different directions. But if I keep going into what's being said to me, where I'm being pulled to, then everything else will fall. And that has relieved years of therapy I did on my anxiety, on panic attacks, on low self-esteem. It's
that's
done.
crazy.
Just keep my eye on that, keep my ears on that, and it just makes everything fall in line. It brings in people that you need. I mean, that's what it's about, and you can't teach that in a business class. You can't teach that in an entrepreneurial class, but it's something that I no longer will avoid in speaking to people about, because I can only speak from my own experience, and everyone has to walk their journey out. But that's the best business tip I ever learned for my sanity, for my goal-orientedness, is it will all happen. You just keep moving one foot in front of the other.
And actually, let me ask you, you touched on this a little bit. Do you think that even you here today on this happened by just this energy relationship?
Divine intervention.
It's whatever you want to call it. I think people have different names for it, but it's at the end of the day, not even knowing that you are there every single day and moving forward is it's exactly where my focus has been for the last, I want to say, 7 months.
Yeah, that's about my same timeline too. Yeah.
And it's because I started reading scripture every day at the end of the day.
Yeah, you were telling me that. So awesome.
It's something new to me, but I'm I want to go deeper, and that's what I try to focus on, because then that makes everything else in the day, every other problem I have, every other business venture I'm in, or whatever the case is, easier.
You couldn't tell me, and I'll put this right on camera, you couldn't tell me 2 years ago, I'll say, even a year and a half ago, that I'd be sitting in an interview about the things that I do, the things I've accomplished, the world that I've built and am in, talking about God. Forget about it. I was not that girl. I was not that person. I was they're gonna know that I worked my ass off, that I built this for myself, and it was me, ego, bullshit.
Crazy.
Yeah, no. That's the way that it works inside you, and that spirit fills you. I can't, it trips me out right now that I'm even, the words are coming out of my mouth, right? And I think that's the craziest thing, and it's crazy amazing, but it also, I can't deny that none of it would be possible without that. So
that's epic.
Yeah.
This is epic. 'Cause this is
is.
epic, and it's like, we don't know where the direction of this goes. Like, I get to keep it real organic, like we talked about earlier, and it's just amazing to see like the relatability, and not only that, but like the messages that and what we think as a mission that we're on right now, just because you have a lot of talent, right? And like there's a lot of different things that you can be doing in regards to where your attention and energy are going. But to hear that that's where it's at is amazing, because I'm sure if you guys dive into her personal brand and who she has a lot of opportunity. There's no shortage of that, right?
Yeah, opportunity is a word in this industry that used to weigh heavily on me, because I think so many people's opinions about what you should be doing, oh, you have so much opportunity because you have this platform, and opportunity sometimes can be a detriment to your purpose. Because if you have a plan and he has a strategy for you, opportunity looks like the devil trying to creep in, being like, oh, but Tamra, we'd love you to do this. Oh, Tamra, we'd love you to do that. Oh, but now all of a sudden you're stretched 7 different ways. And where's your focus gone? And where's your purpose gone? Where's your lane gone? And like, I said it before I even knew what the heck was moving inside me and what was to come. But I said, build it and they will come. And that's been in my bio since 2015 when I started Instagram, when I had 1 follower, and in 2016 when I had 1,000 followers, and then 2017 when I had 600,000, 2018 when I had 1 million. It was always there, and I didn't have a connection, but I had a sense that if I stay in my lane, people will understand. But it was because I knew something about what I wanted to do was going to be bigger than me. I just didn't know where it was going to go. I had no idea it would lead me in like this journey with my faith, but it took me being stretched. It took me trying to do 950 things because I was this overachiever and I wanted to do it all. And especially being a creative, you can really, to your own demise, just strip yourself of like all your talents, because everyone's got a piece of you. And I'm a giver by nature, and so just in the past year of God working on me, I've had to realize that selfishness is a lot different than being focused on what He's calling you to do, and if I have to say, you know what, I appreciate that offer, but this is what I need to focus on, then that's what I have to do. But it whether it be maturity or how He's moved in my life, whatever it is, like I have to continue on that path for me. And it doesn't mean that I can't do multiple things, as long as I know they're all within, what I've been called to do. But I definitely, that's one thing I pray that he strengthens me with, is the ability to continue even when there's adversity, and even when, because sometimes I think people think like the devil tries to creep in with like haters or with negativity, and a lot of the times it's actually in people that try to get you off your mission, and it comes in the face of someone who really loves you, or someone who's really encouraging to you, or wants you, this could be really amazing, and like what's this devil, something in sheep's clothing or something like that.
You never know that'd be it.
Yeah, and we're not able to recognize that until we build that relationship, that so we can hear and discern what we need to be doing, but it took me a long time to get to that place, and now I just feel like, like it's clicked.
Yeah.
And so now it feels like the rebirth for me. Like anything you've seen of me and by me up until now is like, training wheels are off now.
That's
like
awesome.
This is when it's about to start, and this is like the real work for me is about to begin, and like that makes me so excited. So like I'm saying it on camera now, so it's real. So now it's really real. It's go time now.
And so like, what's some piece of advice that you give to maybe like people that are pursuing your path, right? Like, and I mean your path and what you've accomplished and what you have built thus far. Like, people are obviously, you get a lot of people that say, hey, Tamra, how do I become like you? Or how do I do the things you've done? What's your piece of advice to them? And maybe what's something that you should let them know that they're going to come across, right? Like, I don't know, these are things that I'm sure they'd like to really understand.
Well, that definitely goes into what I just spoke about, saying that staying in your lane, first find out what it is that puts fire under you.
What your lane is,
sometimes that's the hardest part in coaching people into this business world, or the business world of social media and building a personal brand, if you will. sometimes it takes weeks, even months to even know what it is that you're really good at or what makes you really unique. And we get tripped up in like, what's the business plan and how am I going to market it and who are my target audience? And I'm like, all of that's awesome, but we can't hit on any of that till we know who you are and we know what your message is and we know how it's going to resonate with you, let alone it's not going to resonate with other people because it's inauthentic if it's not coming from a organic place inside yourself. So where people go, how do I get like you? Well, the story of Tamra Day took 4 years of how do I speak to my audience? What is an audience? Who do I want as my audience? Can I let this 300,000 go overnight? Yeah, because I had to do that. And I was like, miss me with all you guys because you don't know who I am or support me and what my mission is. And so it took a long time. And then I've also rebranded myself a handful of times. And I will continue to do that. And I think that's the ever evolving part of like, how do you get here? Well, you get here by adapting, by being resilient, but knowing who you are and what your why is, what your mission is. And then just consistency, dedication for sure, because this is not an easy thing to take on. Building a thick skin is incredibly important if you're putting your authentic self out there, because I think people think that it's easy to put yourself out there because, oh, it's you, and like there's no wrong turns. Where I went off social media, I had to take hiatuses many times because your sanity starts to go when you realize people are, even something you put out, let's say it's a product, like, so for me, business was a really big fraction of who I am. So you put out a product, well, I created it, I designed it, I manufactured it, essentially. I helped from start A to Z. And so you're birthing something into the world, and if someone critiques it, they're critiquing you. And I don't think people realize, like I could have just bought a product, white labeled it, put it out there, and not had that same emotional connection to it. But that's something I had to learn to have a thicker skin on too, because it's like, okay, that's not you. That's something you created. That's a business. But this is your personal brand, and people are gonna say things about you. Not everyone's gonna like you. It's like you sent me some prompt questions before this, even though we haven't talked, I don't think, about one of them, which is great. But you did say, what would you tell your younger self? And it's the same thing I would tell people getting into this industry, is just go for it. You don't have to be perfect. Nobody wants perfection. They just want you.
Authenticity.
They just want you. And if I could have freaking known that and felt it and embodied it back then, the sky would have been the limit. But that wasn't my path. My path was to walk it all out, all this,
go through it,
get here, and then to be able to authentically articulate to people, you don't have to do all of that. Which is, you can just, but honestly, I know we're humans and they're gonna go through all that. But I'm gonna just let them know that is the process to getting here. And if you're down for it and that's what you've been called to do, then do it. But if I could have just learned that lesson, I think about what all I would have been capable of, but I realize my calling's so much bigger than that. It is to be able to be that bridge and that catalyst for people to get where they want to go, because that fills me with so much joy, you know, versus just me getting there. I love watching people excel in what they're called to do.
And now you're a gift to the world because of your experiences. So it's kind of cool.
Thank you.
I like that this kind of went in its own direction. I think it has more power when it does do that. So I just want to say thank you for doing this. Like, I know you're a very busy person, and I appreciate
you for giving me this platform and this ability to speak about what I'm called to do, because I don't think a lot of people understand the power in that, and how you were saying that maybe the People Project is something that divinely came through, as you know, you said it was something you pitched to someone else, and we're like, you know what, I'm going to show them how. Sometimes we get called to do things in a fashion that we don't know his ways, right?
Exactly.
And I look at things, I'm like, how did I even get here? And that's what it is, right? And this is your gift to people, and I can't wait to see where this goes.
Hopefully
and bring me back in like a year, and we'll see where this whole year has been. Hopefully better than what it's been the last months of 2020.
I think glorious things coming our way, just because of who we are and what we're trying to achieve in this world. And so thank you. And
thank you.
We'll see you guys on the other side. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and let us know what you guys think. We'd love to hear feedback, and hopefully this helps one of you. Peace.